Welcome to the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast on Mintwave Radio and all podcast platforms. If you're a coach, consultant, therapist, or healer with an online program and would like to find out how to grow your business whilst having fun podcasting, go to podcastprofitsunleashed.com/free. Let's dive into today's episode.
Welcome to the show. My name is Karen Roberts, and my passion is helping coaches and experts design, create, launch, and grow their podcast. Now, today, I'm going to be talking about trusting the process. I'm sure you've heard that many times before, but in order to be successful in business, you need to find a way to be detached from the outcome. And I know this is true, but it's not easy to do. If you can do this, this is where magic happens, because do the work, trust the process, you will get results if you are consistent. In fact, I remember being told many years ago to be married to the process, but divorced from the results. Same thing. And this really is true with regards to your podcast. I used to always say 80% of it is making a commitment to showing up each week. But I saw a post recently from Stephen Bartlett that he actually said that 99% of it is about showing up. And I do agree. Now, 23 years ago, I was sat in a conference room at a Bob Proctor event called You Were Born Rich. Now, I was very new to self-development. And in fact, the reason I was there was because I was involved in a network marketing company. I love the products, but I was absolutely rubbish at selling them or getting people to join my team. But I went along to the meetings because I was learning so much around self-development. My first introduction was, a guy on stage recommended 3 books: Think and Grow Rich, Who Moved My Cheese, and Psycho-Cybernetics. And I bought all 3 that day and read them all over and over. If you've not read any of them, I highly recommend all of them. These books have had a massive impact on my life. And I went to this event. Now, I'm sure the purpose of this event was to encourage us to be more successful within this network marketing company. However, for me, when I came to writing my goals down, I wrote 3 goals. And I still have my book today. I mean, it's a complete wreck because my daughters, when they were younger, they drew all over it, but I have kept it. And the 3 goals that I wrote down, number 1 was to own my own fitness studio. 2 was to buy a house because I was renting. And 3 was to own a 4x4. Now, this was way before anybody was talking about climate change, right? Now, I've got to be honest, although it was something that I was passionate about, teaching fitness, but I was a freelance instructor living in London. There was loads of work around, right? But I never gave it any more thought because really starting a fitness studio in London seemed a little bit ridiculous at the time. However, what happened 5 years later. Well, actually 4 years later, when we moved to the Algarve, Portugal. Now, we didn't have a plan. We knew things would work because we'd been listening to Bob and he said, burn the boats. Now, if you follow him, you'll know what I'm talking about. That if you have a big goal, then you need to remove the escape hatch, burn the boats. And so we did. Now, for some, that might sound really irresponsible because I was 7 months pregnant when we moved there and I also had a 4-year-old. But I always had this thought process that, you know what, whatever happens, we're not going to starve. If we can't get enough work teaching fitness, I can always go and work in a bar or I can waitress. I can do whatever. There will always be a solution. So about 3 weeks after I'd given birth to my second child in a new country, the realization that there wouldn't be enough work for both of us, we had a bit of an aha moment. I was still listening to Bob, his cassettes back then, I learned about him being one of the coaches on The Secret, and we pre ordered the DVD. Now, I was given possibly the best piece of advice that I've ever been given by one of Bob Proctor's coaches. Now, I realize now that the call that I had with him was a sales call, and we weren't in a position to invest in the coaching program that was being offered. But I said to the coach, we've pre ordered The Secret and we're really looking forward to watching it. And Bob said to me, not Bob Proctor, but the coach was also called Bob. He said to me, Karen, there is so much depth to that film. Watch it twice a day for a month. I remember at the time, as I was sat there in my little apartment that had no air conditioning, it was hot with a newborn baby, and I needed to rush out and pick up my 4-year-old from school, thinking, you've got to be crazy. How am I going to have enough time in my day to watch I can't remember, is it a 2-hour film, a 3-hour film, twice a day? I don't have the time, but I made time. And I honestly believe that if it wasn't for doing that, we would never have set up our fitness studio. We owned FitBods. Now, within 5 years from me writing those goals down, I had achieved every single one of those goals. We bought a house on the back of the business, and I got my 4x4, my monster truck, as I called it. And it was only after we purchased the truck that I realized that I'd achieved all 3 goals. Now, I truly believe it's because I was detached from the outcome. It was a strong desire 5 years previously, but then I had let it go and went about my business. And circumstances came about purely because we couldn't find enough work in the Algarve. So we realized we needed to create our own thing. So I have to remember this. I have to use this myself, because being detached from the outcome is what actually works. Since then, I've had other different goals that I haven't achieved. And I believe it's because I wasn't detached from the outcome. I wasn't trusting the process. There are things that I've done in the past where really I've really been invested in the outcome. I needed it to work. And so actually what I was doing was pushing it away. So how do you do this? I believe you have to be crystal clear on what needs to be done every single day. You need a strategy, a process, or a daily method of operation to follow, so that what I call my unnegotiable tasks that I need to do every day to grow my business, it's in fact easy, because all I need to do is I go straight to my computer and I know exactly what I need to do that day to move my business forward. By doing this, I remove any emotion. It's just part of my working day. Instead of doing things on the fly, because if there's no plan, if there's no roadmap, and you're reacting to what's in front of you, it's very easy to get distracted, to procrastinate about tasks, and things just don't get done. Or at least that's what I found for me. Why do I know this? Because that's what I was doing 6 months ago. I needed to get clarity on what I was doing, and I needed to stop doing everything and just focus on the one thing, which is podcasting. Now, it can be scary in the beginning, because I was thinking, well, what if I don't get enough? Oh, that's the scarcity mindset. So now I have my daily processes in place. Instead of chasing people, instead of worrying about where the next client's going to come from, I just get to show up daily, complete my daily tasks, and walk away. Trust the process. So my message is, do the work, trust the process, and the results will come if you are consistent. Because at the end of the day, there are only 2 ways to build your business. You can use your money with paid advertising, or use your time, organic marketing. But this takes daily action, and you have to choose one of them. We don't do any paid advertising. Everything we have built has been through organic marketing. However, I was still missing something because I think a lot of people misunderstand attraction marketing. We think that all we've got to do is post on social media, post all our episodes on the different social media platforms, and that's all we need to do. But it doesn't quite work like that. What I've found, what works best is a particular format that I follow every single day. And the one thing that I wasn't really doing was actually asking for the sale. Just because we think that attraction marketing means we show up, put our content out, and people are going to come running to us asking to buy, well, they won't if you don't actually ask them to. So now all I need to do is show up to record my podcast, show up daily on social media using my podcast, whether it's in the written format, video, or audio, or short form videos from the podcast as a reel, plus actual calls to action that are aimed at my target audience. That's all I need to do. And now I have people coming to me asking to book a call. It's not pushy. It's not salesy. This is the beauty of having a complete ecosystem that includes my podcast. And I get to show up, do the work, trust the process, and the results come. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Well, that's easy for you to say when you have clients coming in. But if the money's not coming in, how do you become detached from the outcome? All I can say is you have to find a way. For me, if I wasn't doing it in this way, well, it wasn't working. Plus, I was stressed. I was worried. I was constantly chasing, sliding into the DMs, which I felt icky about anyway. Now I can fit my work around my life rather than the other way around. I can set boundaries. I work within a specific timeline and then I switch off. So it does take practice. And I do realize that this is what Bob meant when he said, let go and let God. Whether you're religious or not, it's about having faith in the unseen, finding a way to let go of the stress and worry. Why? Because it affects your energy. And unconsciously, that vibration that you're putting out when you might jump on a sales call, are you showing up to serve or are you desperate for the sale? Many coaches are fearful about how much time it's all going to take. But I find that having a podcast, I get back my time because most of my content has been created from that one piece of content, my one weekly episode. And then all I need to create is my daily call to action and add a testimonial and maybe a personal story. And that's it. I'm done. So when you have a complete strategy, like I said the other week in a previous episode, I book specific time slots out of my day to complete my daily tasks that I call unnegotiable. And I stick to 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break. And this helps me stay on track. If you're not getting an ROI from your podcast yet, or you guest on other people's podcasts as a way of getting your message out there, or if you're looking to launch your podcast and you want to set it up in the right way from the start, then why not book one of our podcast prep calls? Now they're just £99. That's it. And it starts with us helping you get crystal clear on your messaging, who you actually help, and what is the big promise that you offer your clients that they will get once they've been working with you. We align it with your podcast and your service. Look, we get it. There's a lot to think about when starting a podcast. And it doesn't have to be that overwhelming because we have a complete process that you can follow. When you get it, you will get back your time. And plus, as I say all the time, it is a fun way to drive your business. So we'll help you create your origin story that converts. We will even record an interview for you to showcase your expertise, demonstrate how you help your target audience achieve a specific goal, and cover internal, external limiting beliefs. We're here to guide you through every step of the way. You'll also get our mini course, which takes you through how to create content that's going to attract your ideal client, how to turn the listeners into leads, and more importantly, how to grow and monetize it. The website is the same name as the podcast. So my website is podcastprofitsunleashed.com/podcast-prep to take advantage of that podcast prep call. So if you've been sitting on the fence, take that first step to help you get clear on your process, on your strategy, so that you are ready to take the next step. Thanks for listening. I will have a guest next week, Adam Adams, and we're going to be talking about social media algorithms. Now, Adam is also a podcaster and also helps people set up with their own podcast because it's all about collaboration rather than competition. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to today's episode on the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast. If you're a coach, consultant, therapist, or healer who would like to drive sales whilst having fun podcasting, head over to podcastprofitsunleashed.com/free and find out how you can turn your podcast into a sales machine. We'll see you on the next episode.